curious, slightly skeptical. A bizarre claim recently surfaced in reports from the New York Post. Iran is allegedly training intelligent marine mammals to act as kamikaze weapons. This map of the Strait of Hormuz highlights the rumored target zone. The allegation is that these animals would be deployed here, hunting American warships and Allied vessels navigating these heavily congested maritime choke points. The mechanics of the rumor are straightforward, if deeply disturbing. It suggests strapping explosives to a highly intelligent animal and sending it on a one-way trip, effectively creating a living, unjammable torpedo. While the concept sounds like a discarded script from a science fiction movie, the persistence of the story reveals a very real anxiety about how invisible, unconventional threats might be used to disrupt critical trade routes. To understand why this rumor gains any traction at all, you have to look at the massive gap in conventional naval power. The United States Navy operates technologically dominant fleets, while Iran relies on a much smaller maritime force. To bridge that gap, Iran utilizes asymmetric warfare. This is a military doctrine where a weaker force uses low-cost, unconventional methods to harass and counter a heavily armed, technologically superior opponent. We see this doctrine in action constantly. Instead of matching destroyers, Iran often deploys swarms of cheap speedboats to surround and intimidate massive maritime targets. Traveling in tight formations through narrow straits, these low-cost swarms create operational disruption and psychological strain for crews defending a slow-moving target. The suicide dolphin rumor represents an extreme hypothetical extension of this established doctrine, an invisible biological asset designed to bypass radar and strike a billion-dollar hull. There is a grain of truth buried in the sensationalism. The military use of marine mammals is a documented historical reality. During the height of the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union maintained active programs to train dolphins, but their roles were highly specialized. These animals were primarily used for underwater mine detection, locating lost equipment, and recovering divers. Those historical programs were strictly for defense and intelligence gathering. The animals were trained to identify threats, never to act as offensive suicide platforms. Weaponizing an animal to intentionally self-destruct is a fundamentally different operational leap that lacks any historical precedent. If we evaluate the kamikaze dolphins strictly from a logistics perspective, the system falls apart. This bar chart shows the first major flaw, the economic contradiction. Asymmetric warfare relies on cheap, mass-produced tools. Training a single combat dolphin requires years of specialized labor and immense financial resources. There's also the guidance issue. A torpedo uses programmed GPS. A living animal relies on instinct, making its trajectory highly unpredictable. This creates extreme friendly fire risk. A dolphin with a payload cannot differentiate between an American destroyer and an Iranian frigate. To date, no credible military intelligence or official source has confirmed that an active Iranian program of this nature actually exists. The ocean itself is a volatile environment. Turbulent currents and marine life create uncontrollable variables that further degrade a creature's reliability in a combat scenario. From an operational standpoint, living creatures fail as offensive weapons because their inherent unpredictability introduces unacceptable risks to the forces trying to deploy them. Because the kamikaze dolphin fails as a physical weapon system, we should evaluate it as a tool of information warfare. Spreading a narrative like this serves a psychological goal, framing an adversary as rogue and willing to ignore conventional boundaries of combat. Beyond the strategy, this rumor introduces an ethical dilemma regarding the exploitation of nature in human conflicts. Humans fight over national flags and maritime borders, but a dolphin has no concept of these ideologies. It is a biological entity operating on social bonds, entirely removed from human geopolitics. When you combine the technical unreliability of the system with the sacrifice of a non-combatant sentient creature, the tactic becomes an act of pointless cruelty rather than a strategic advantage. Definitively, the suicide dolphin is a phantom narrative, a byproduct of the real-world tensions in the Middle East. Iran's true maritime threat will likely continue to manifest through physical, mechanical tactics that push the limits of asymmetric warfare. While imagination dominates the information war, the actual battlefield remains governed by operational limits and logical realities.